there's a lot of atheists arguing with theists, and I've been trying to get them to, you know, to change the question they're willing to debate from, does God exist, to what is the definition of God? I mean, it's true we'll never like disprove the existence of a God, because it's so vague. It's defying definition. The idea of God's existence to be debated has to have a meaning, so that you have to define what God is so that you can tell me what I'm looking for. You know, if you want to just take all the good things that happen in your life and attribute them and say those will be God, okay, those exist. But should I worship it? Is it conscious? Does it have a will? Okay, there becomes a problem. So you have to define God in a way that it has all the implications that you hope for it to have. I mean, you will have to make that definition public, and then that's what we'll debate, right? Otherwise, there isn't really a debate. This got me thinking too that, what if I just do this? Because I'll propose for you. What if God is taken as whatever is behind all our spiritual experiences? Because, see, I think we have spiritual experiences. And by putting it in terms of experience, then we potentially can have a kind of evidence. And so, I mean, I think, what if God is whatever's behind our spiritual experiences? Fine. Again, why would I worship it will be an immediate question. Okay, maybe because maybe I accept there's spiritual experiences, so I accept that there's something behind it, but it still hasn't been demonstrated why I should worship it, let alone how it's also the creator and everything else when we don't really know what sort of creation a universe like ours, requires. So, but basically, I mean, it's kind of an advice that you realize that the issue with God is not really about whether we can prove it or not. It's that it's never defined. Okay, we can't prove that nothing that you would call God or nothing you would want to worship, exists. You have to go ahead and define that God, and then we would discuss whether or not it exists. You would have to define all of the theories that go along with your God, and we'd have to test each one. And so that's sort of the issue because, you know, I can't prove there's no God of any name, but I know there's not a God that comes and makes me breakfast in the morning because there's no breakfast waiting for me. So you have to define the God. And what you'll find out is that none of the definitions of God are even coherent, let alone testable. They don't even cohere with themselves. They make weird claims like omnipotence, which is an incoherent concept because of the whole, for example, could you create a boulder too heavy to lift? Omnipotence doesn't make sense. Certain actions limit other actions. That's the way of action and reaction. And so, you know, it just doesn't work out. And so this is the problem with God. Nobody's come up with a good definition. So come up with a good definition, then let's debate that. Come up with a definition of your spirituality that's debatable, like Spinoza or someone has. But